Rated with a second class lower.
Hello guys and welcome to my channel. I am Aboagye and today I have with me Alfred Indu and we are going to have an amazing conversation of how to get admission and scholarship if you graduated with a not so impressive grade like a second class lower or a pass. The reason why I'm actually having this conversation is I've realized that most people feel that education or academics is just for a privileged few, that's the first class people. But with time, one thing I've also come to realize is like you are not only your grades, there's more to you. And if you really do want to go into graduate school, what are some of the strategies or what are some of the steps that you can employ to make this dream a reality? So before we start, let Alfred introduce himself, then we can talk. And before we continue, if today is your first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you are interested in these kind of content, I do create contents related to graduate school applications, admissions, and scholarships. Do subscribe and hit the bell button so that you get notified as and when I post a new video. So Alfred, like, tell us about yourself, then we can start this conversation.
Sure. First of all, Barbara, thank you so much for having me on your channel today. It's always a great pleasure. So, a little bit about myself. I come from Ghana, Elmina to be specific in Ghana. Um, I graduated from KNUST in 2013 with a degree in materials engineering. And after that, I did my national service in Chirano Gold Mines Limited. And fast forward to 2015, I joined a company called Group 5, where I worked in a thermal power plant in construction, and then switched over to the operations company to work in the operations of the plant. So I spent about 5 years in this power plant, working through its construction, commissioning, and operations. So after that period, I decided I wanted to do more with my career. I wanted to prepare myself to the next level. So I applied to Duke University for their engineering management program, and thankfully I got in. So I started my program at Duke in 2019, fall of 2019, and then graduated in December of 2020. Currently, I'm working as a pathways operations manager at Amazon. And so yeah, that's a summary of my background.
Okay, thank you very much for the explicit explanation of who you are. Like before we start this conversation, could you tell us what you graduated with, Alfred, if you're okay with that?
Sure, my grade from KNUST. So I graduated with a second class lower. Um, I I just missed that second class upper mark.
Okay, so these conversations are not just hearsay, it's based on somebody's lived experience. Alfred has lived it and he made it into Duke. If you do not know about Duke University, you could actually do a quick Google search. Duke is one of the best universities in the world, and if Alfred was able to make it, I do believe that you will also be able to make it. All you have to do is to listen to the steps and just follow through with it, and I think you'll be fine. So we are going to start this conversation. So I think the first thing you should do is early planning. Most of the time when it comes to graduate school, people tend to wait till they hear the applications have opened or they've heard that scholarships have been opened. Like, this is not the way forward. Like, you have to plan early and you have to be proactive. If you plan that, oh, I want to go to school maybe next year, next 2 years, you could actually start the process a year or 2 years before, trying to gather all your documents, trying to get people to help. Because what happens is when you wait till the deadline is over, you are competing with so many people for other people's attention, because you have to write an exams, you have to write essays, you need people to read, you need people to help you out with it. And during that time, it's like crunch season where everybody's looking for people. So in the first place, you know that like you've fallen short in one area, and now you are competing with other people to help you improve in that area. So I think the first thing you should do is to start planning early, a year before, 2 years before, even 3 years before. Like, there is no time frame to when you have to start planning. But like, one thing I will have to say, please don't wait till applications open. Please don't wait till when there's the deadline is close by before you actually do start planning for that. Alfred, do you have anything to add to this point, or we could move on?
Yeah, so real quick, and just to buttress the point you are making, going to graduate school or studying abroad is a huge decision for yourself and for your career. So it really is a big deal. You don't want to, make decisions at the last minute, on the spur of the moment decisions. You really want to plan ahead, like you're saying, Barbara, and that's the only way you'll get the good results you're looking for.
And also to continue, like, do not give up, even for people with good grades. Like, it's like a battlefield. Like, for me personally, I say that academia or applying for school is a full-time job, where like, you apply, you get rejection, you apply, you get rejection, you apply, you get rejection. You don't have to give up. And one thing you should also have in mind is, like, you are competing with so many people. You are competing with the creme de la creme of society. Apart from that, and like, everybody wants to make it, so the rejections will come. But once you know that this is what I want to do not give up. Keep on keep on persevering. And one thing I also suggest to people is that when you plan on going to grad school, look for other people who plan on doing the same thing with you. What happens is you tend to motivate each other, you tend to build each other up, you tend to be able to plan strategies. Oh, I did this, it didn't work. Oh, you should try this and try this. Like, it helps you to have a team. Like, community building, like when it comes to grad school, is also, it's also a very important step you should do. So you have to plan early, and once you're also planning, don't give up. Like, the rejections will come, but do not give up. Like, persevere. Know that this is what I want to do. Like, you fall down, you stand up. You fall down, you stand up. You fall down, you stand up. All you actually need is a 1 year. So you don't need like 2 years. You don't need three. Even if you get so many years, it's only one choice you are going to make. So all you need is a 1 year. So as you are doing, like, I just need a 1 year. Just one. Just one is enough. So you should have something to look forward to, and you should actually plan towards that. Like, what are some of the things that you think people should actually explore when it comes to applying for schools?
Yeah, so another big one is work experience.
Yeah.
So, especially for candidates who are not confident because of their grade, in undergrad, you want to really leverage your work experience. And for me, I mean, obviously, I know that people are able to get into grad school, right out of undergrad or maybe with very limited work experience. But the advice I always give people is that if you really want to optimize your chances, at least for some programs, it really boosts your profile if you have some good work experience. And work experience is not just a full-time job. Work experience includes all those internships that you do during college. It includes a lot of extracurricular activities you do. Even if it's student leadership, you stood for SRC president, all that stuff are important parts of your story, right? Are important parts of your experience that you really want to share, because that's really what paints, the holistic picture about your profile. So speaking of work experience, one thing that most universities will request is your resume, your CV, and you want to make sure that that document is well put together. You want to make sure that you are leveraging aspects of your experience that are relevant to the program that you are going into. You want to make sure that your CV is also, reviewed probably by other people with experience, just to for them to make some good inputs to make sure that that final CV you are submitting is airtight and looks really good. And so that's one thing I'd say about the work experience piece. It's one thing that would definitely boost you if your GPA is not, that great. And especially for schools that try to look beyond just your grade. Your work experience will definitely give you a good shot at getting into the schools.
Thank you very much, Alfred, and thanks for mentioning the part about CV. So, like, When it comes to the CV, like every country and how they want their CV to look like, there are some countries they require you to have a picture on it, like in Europe, in the US, or in Canada, they do not want you to have a picture on it. So it's also important that you structure your CV based on the country you're applying to. So I'm going to, and there are quite a lot of CV templates online. So I'm going to share with you a CV template for you to have a look at. I'm also going to leave that template, the link to where you can download it, in the comment section. And one thing you should also realize is there's a difference between an academic CV and a professional CV. For an academic CV, like the most important part is your education. But like for a professional CV, if you are looking for a job, like the most important part should be your work experience. So you should also consider all those things. Like if you're applying for a professional master's, probably your work experience might be more useful. If you are applying for an academic work, maybe your education should be important. So like I'm going to leave this, I'm going to leave the link to how to get this CV in the description box. All you need to do is to just to fill in the details you need. This could be useful for when you're actually applying to North America, and also for Europe. And there's something called the Europass, CV. This is the website which I'm also going to leave in the description box. All you need to do is to log in and to fill in your details. It's going to prepare that for you. And there's actually a video on how to go about the website. So you just get to the website, you take time to look through the video, and it will create a CV, an impressive CV for you to use. And as Alfred said, it's also very important that you get people to review it for you. You don't just have to do it, you also have to review it, because sometimes it will just be some little or few mistakes. And one thing you should realize, one thing I've also come to realize is there's not necessarily any fixed step or any fixed way to go about these things, because like for me in the past, like when I look at my CV now, when I look at some of my statement of purpose, there are some things I realize that I might not do now, because when you know better, you do better. There's no fixed way, but when you are competing with other people, it's very important that you learn to stand out. And these are some of the few things that you can do to stand up. So that's with regards to the work experience. So now let's look at a very important aspect of the process. That's a statement of purpose or a motivation letter. With regards to that, like I believe that there are two schools. There are some people who feel that the statement of purpose is just for decoration and people don't really read it, and the other people who feel that the statement of purpose is actually an important aspect of your application. I am part of the school of thought that believes that your statement of purpose is actually an important aspect of your application. It offers you a lot of opportunities to explain yourself and to let people know who you are. It's like when you are looking for a job, there's an interview stage and you have to submit your documents, and based on that they call you for an interview. I feel your statement of purpose is your interview stage if there's not going to be an interview for the program. It's to let people know that this is who I am, this is my journey, and this is what I bring on board, and this is what I want to do. So with regards to that, it's very important that you make time to really write a good statement of purpose, and you should be able to tell a story. So with regards to this, like I'm going to share with you a statement of purpose I wrote in the past, and I think Alfred will also do the same. Actually, when I read, this was actually my first draft, so that there'll be quite a lot of mistakes you're seeing, but then that's the first draft. That's why I also say it's very important that you actually start early so that you can actually make those mistakes. So I'm going to read it for you, for people to just get to hear the story. So the saying "Saved by the Bell" became clearer to me on June 3rd, 2015, as I lay in my bed listening to the news of that day. To me, it was more of "Saved by the Churchill" and minibus. On that fateful day, about 160 lives were lost, millions worth of properties as well as the livelihood of survivors were lost due to the flood and fire disaster in Accra, the capital city of Ghana. Had I not got a vehicle, the time I did to go home after closing from computer engineering and planning associate, where I was an intern, I guess the number of casualties would have increased by one because I also sought refuge at the filling station on that day due to the heavy downpour. One thing I think is very important is like the beginning of your statement of purpose should be catchy enough. It should be catchy that will want somebody to want to continue reading. I started my saying by so like whoever is reading will be like, okay, what happened? Like what actually happened? What went on? So they'll be interested to read the story. So like I continue. According to the committee set up to investigate the cause of the June 3rd disaster, plastic waste played a pivotal role in the disaster. Unfortunately, the June 3rd incident recurred a year and 2 years afterwards. Had Albert Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, Nikola Tesla, G. Michael Cousteau, Joseph Fourier, Louis Pasteur, and the likes lost their lives before their innovations hit the light of day, the world we now enjoy and are so proud of will never have materialized. Unfortunately, that is the battle we face as Ghanaians to conserve our human resources for the betterment of our nation and the world as a whole. So I talk about the problem and I try to link it with innovations, how people have been able to actually make impressive innovations in the world. Why? Because they lived. And I also talk about the fact that this is actually a problem that we face in Ghana. It's not really only about the flood, but like we are in constant threat that one day, somehow, some way, somebody just gets to die. So let's continue. It's been 3 years since I nearly lost my life, and I'm thinking which career path to follow. Still remains a mystery why I'm thinking about my career path because I've already decided, attain a PhD, and become a lecturer in one of the Ghanaian universities. As I entered the university in 2012 to study for a bachelor's degree in civil engineering, I knew I wanted to follow the path of environmental engineering with a focus on waste management because the waste management system in my country was either poor or non existent. I grew up with the mentality that once you get a poor grade in a certain field, it means you are not cut out for that area. That is how my desire to pursue environmental engineering was shattered since I got poor grades in that course. I took a different path in structural engineering, which I do love. As I write this, the only thing on my mind is how I survived the June 3rd incident and my childhood desire to do something about the waste management problem in Ghana. It's in this limelight I will want to acquire knowledge in environmental engineering and combine with the knowledge in structural engineering and make Ghana a better place. I was retained as a teaching and research assistant at Kwame Nkrumah University after my undergraduate education, where I organized tutorials, assisted final year undergraduates in their dissertation or thesis writing, as well as performed administrative duties at the Provost's office in the College of Engineering, KNUST. I continued to acquire a master's degree in geomechanics, civil engineering, and risk at University of Grenoble-Alpes in France, where I got the opportunity to meet and learn from and with people from diverse backgrounds. I took courses geared towards structural engineering. Studying in France also gave me the opportunity to learn the French language. Apart from my academic pursuits, I involved myself in extracurricular activities by being a member of ISEC, Coordinator for Girl Empowered, a group passionate about the empowerment of girls physically, socially, economically, and psychologically, and a volunteer for STEM Bees. I have improved my leadership and people management skills, and this has gone a long way to help me develop good interpersonal and communication skills. Through involvement in these activities, I have developed important time management skills and the tenacity to handle complex problems, a skill that will be worthwhile in pursuing my future goals. I also love to partake in sporting activities. My goal now is to trust myself to acquire the necessary knowledge in environmental engineering and play a pivotal role in influencing policies in that sector to reduce the number of deaths due to the issue of the environment. Lastly, I hope to serve as a source of inspiration and a mentor to the younger generation. That is, it's never too late to follow your dreams. So with regards to that, so basically this was a statement of purpose I submitted some time ago in the past. Like once I'm reading it right now, like I see so many mistakes. But I said this is also my first draft. Like the punctuation is horrible, but One thing that is sure is like I'm able to tell my story. I feel that whoever reads this is able to know who I am, where I came from. They get a complete picture of who I am, where I've come from, what I did, and where I want to go. And I feel that like it's also possible that maybe with regards to the storytelling, I could maybe summarize it a bit because it takes a huge chunk of my letter of motivation. So for every letter of motivation, it's very important to identify what your motivation is, because it's your motivation that actually keeps you going during the tough times. I also talk about the reason why I do need these skills, why these skills are important, and afterwards what I want to use these skills also for. I also talk about the extracurricular activities. So like from this, you're able to tell that I'm a holistic individual. That it's not really just about the academics, but apart from the academics, I also have a life. It's important. You can tell that I'll be able to fit in a team, because like graduate education is all about teamwork. Like it's very important to be able to work in a team. So like this is a letter of motivation I submitted. So like Alfred, you could also share yours and maybe add some few tidbits. So letter of motivation is very, very important. It should be able to tell your story. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So I will go ahead and share mine.
Like before you share yours, are there some mistakes maybe with mine that you identified, like with regards to that you want to talk about? I could share it again if you want.
Well, the one thing I would say would just be to piggyback on what you said about the length of the
Yeah.
document. Um, I know some schools give you a limit, a word limit. Others don't, but in general, you don't want to drag it out when it can be too when you can say the same carry the same message in a shorter, you know, um, in a shorter number of words. But all in all, I'll say it was good. And this was how long ago?
This was I think 2018. Yeah, 2018. Yeah, 2018. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I mean, this and I'm glad I'm also able to share mine because yours, I see a lot of creativity and storytelling in yours, which was mostly missing in mine. So it's good that we have, two
The
versions,
balance. Yeah.
that have
And
different styles.
yeah, and also I like the fact that you talked about the fact like piggyback on like the length. Also remember that they are reading so many people's essays. So it's like when you begin to drag, it's like okay, yeah, I heard it. Like I know what's going on. Like so what? Like so it's very important that you're able to structure it very well. Like it's short, it's precise, it has all the information one needs at the beginning, so that because like for me I told a lot of story at the beginning, so if they decide to stop reading at the end, they are not able to tell like what I really need, like what I want to use the information for. So structure is also very important. Yeah, so you could take it from here.
Okay, gotcha. Um, can you see my screen?
Yeah, yeah, I can.
Okay. So in my statement of purpose for Duke, I just want to put this in perspective. This was for an engineering management program, right? So you want to make sure that you are really targeting the program that you are applying for. Um, the the questions I was supposed to answer in my statement of purpose as provided by Duke was why Duke, as in why do I want Duke, and why me? Why would Duke want me? And basically, lastly, where is the fit between you and the program or the school, right? And then, of course, there was also a word limit for me. It was a 500 word limit. Keep in mind that when you are given a word limit, typically you could go, 5 to 10% more or less than the word limit you are provided. Generally, if you go shorter, it's not the best. If you go beyond that, it's not the best. So here's my statement of purpose. And I think the only paragraphs that I will actually read are the first and the last because I think they are the most critical. And then I'm going to summarize what I talk about in, the body paragraphs. So I'll start off with the first paragraph. The markedly multifaceted nature of engineering business management requires truly versatile leadership to guarantee optimum results. In my relatively short career, I have witnessed firsthand how bad decisions have been consistently made by three distinct types of leaders in the engineering space: technically proficient leaders with little expertise in business management, adept business management with limited engineering proficiency, and managers with poor interpersonal and communication skills. I intend to be a part of the solution to this problem, and I believe the prestigious Duke MEM will help me achieve precisely that. So this was my first paragraph, and the idea in the first paragraph, if you are not going the way Barbara went by telling a story, the idea here in general is you want to summarize everything you are saying and go straight to the point in your first paragraph. So you can read my first paragraph and know exactly what I want. You know exactly what I want to do with the program, know exactly why I'm applying to the program and why I'm a good fit for the program, right? And as you can see, it's pretty precise. Now, in the body of the essay, that's when I start expanding on my experience, expanding on all the reasons why I think I'm a good fit for an engineering management degree. So you'd see that in this document, I'm hitting the engineering part of the degree and I'm also hitting the management part of the degree. So in my second paragraph, yes, so that was for the first paragraph. Now, in the second paragraph, which is the body of my statement of purpose, I get into the reasons why I am a good fit. So, because it's an engineering management degree, I have to make sure that I talk about my proficiency in not just engineering, but also in management, in leadership, in public speaking, the softer side of things, right? So in this second paragraph, I focus on the fact that, I have a keen interest in leadership, in public speaking and politics. The fact that when I was in tech, I was actively involved in student politics. I was also president of Mfanspem Old Boy Association there at Tech. I had all these extracurricular activities going on because I was that kind of person, someone who believed in and was very interested in leadership. Then I also transitioned there into how those extracurricular activities affected my grades. Okay. And so, and then lastly, I talk about how I joined Occupy Ghana's Western Regional Branch and how that involved some, radio and TV interviews and me actually doing the news review on Sky Power FM sometime in 2015. And then now I'm transitioning to my engineering or technical experience. So I talk about my materials engineering degree and what that did for me. So I talked about here in the next paragraph, I talk about my research project at the end of my materials engineering degree, how we developed new refractories from local materials and how those materials, those refractories that we developed were piloted at Swami magazine, and so that was also a great way to paint a picture of my technical proficiency based on my undergraduate degree. Then another point there to hit on my technical proficiency as an engineer was in my third paragraph, or I will say my fourth paragraph, where I talk about my actual work experience. So this time, not just me being in school, but what I've actually done in the professional world, right? So here I talk about how, for the most part, I worked in a power plant and I learned the thermodynamics of gas and steam turbine operations. I I connect the program, like I connect my work experience to some of the specific courses in the program I'm applying to show where the relevance is. I talk about the fact that yes, I'm doing engineering, but I want to use this degree to help me rise into management or into engineering management, right? And so that's what I focus on in that paragraph. So basically, you are trying to be very targeted with everything you are saying, making sure that every sentence is telling why you are a good fit for the program. And I'm going to read the last paragraph. So this is where you bring it all back together. You stated a thesis in your first paragraph. Now you're bringing it together by restating it, of course, in a different way in the third paragraph. So here goes. I am convinced that I am a perfect match for the Duke MEM program. Given my interdisciplinary background, I bring a wide variety of experience to the table while contributing to the diversity in the program. I look forward to combining my taught skills from your program, my engineering experience, and my natural abilities to become a thoroughly well-rounded engineering manager who makes technically and economically sound decisions, right? So it's almost like I just took apart what the degree was and I found specific words and specific sentences to attack, everything that the degree is. So that's, the advice I would give is to be very precise and to be very targeted, in your statement of purpose. And also, of course, this is a document that you don't want to spend, let's say, just 3 days whipping up real quick. It's a document. This probably took me maybe 2 to 3 weeks, of spending a lot of time on it, multiple reviews, multiple changes, because you want to have a document that is going to boost your chances. So, Barbara, I don't know if you have any comments on mine as well.
Yeah, I think it's good, but personally, I'm more of a storytelling person. So like, I'll get bored easily.
Yeah. And that's true. And I'm glad that we are able to share two different styles, because I listened to yours and I was like, wait a minute, this is a lot of storytelling, and that's also not my style.
Yeah,
But then at the end of the day, it has to be compelling.
exactly.
You had a compelling story there, and I demonstrated a compelling fit with the program.
Yeah,
At
exactly.
the end of the day, whoever is reading was moved. You know,
Exactly.
that's a great way to paint a picture that there really isn't one formula to make
Exactly.
a,
Exactly.
a set formula, but
It,
you have to make sure that whatever you're doing is compelling and effective enough.
yeah,